What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad's Expensive Hobby. Today we are taking a look at the SH Figuarts Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta from Dragonball GT. I have had this figure for months. I found him in the weirdest little place. I found him at a hobby town of all places months ago, and he has just sat in a box ever since. So I thought, why not go ahead and grab him and let's do a review on him. This figure, he's really awesome looking, but there are some aspects about him that I'm not a huge fan of. We'll get into all that here in just a little bit, but first things first, let's get him measured up and see how tall he is. I'll grab my ruler, and to the top of his spiky hair, he is right at 6 inches tall, but to his hairline, he is actually just kind of south of 5 inches, really. And let's stand him next to some other figures and see how he looks with them. Here he is next to Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and Super Saiyan Blue Goku. And to answer any questions, no, these two cannot head swap. And here he is next to Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I think these two look really nice next to each other. And here he is next to the Dragon Stars 4th Form Frieza and the SH Figuarts Super Saiyan Trunks Boy from the Future figures. I think those all three look pretty cool. Frieza, I had to prop him up on his tail. He would be actually taller than these two figures if I didn't do that, so the scale's a little off. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Red Hulk and a can of root beer. And here he is next to the SH Figuarts Full Power Broly and a stick of deodorant. I think he looks cool next to both items. All right, I think that looks really awesome. Let's move into his accessories really quick. He comes with some awesome stuff, to be honest with you. He comes with 4 face plates in total. He comes with this neutral face on him in the package. He has a grinning face. He has a teeth gritting face. And an open mouth yelling face. All 4 face plates look fantastic. He comes with 12 hands in total.
You were this close, and you blew it.
And he comes with a little effect piece. And he has this little blast effect right here. It looks well enough. The paint on it looks pretty decent. It's got kind of a nice translucent look with some frosted paint. Looks nice.
What the?
And for his price point, I think that's not terrible. Maybe it could have been a little bit more. Maybe there could have been more to the blast effect or something. And I'm starting to think that maybe Tamashii kind of goes overboard with how many hands. I memean, how many different variations of an open hand do you really need? But I'm not going to complain too much about that because the fact that we got an energy effect, that shuts me up right there. So let's take a look at his paint and detail because it's a catch-22 to an extent. His hair, I'll just say, looks really awesome. I like it because it's still a matte. I have heard people describe it as kind of a satin. It's really not. It's a matte look. It's just nice and lustrous, and I like it. It's nice and brown. Got great detail in it like we always get out of Vegeta hair. It moves around, but we'll get into more of that down the road. I love his face plates. That just looks fierce as could be. That red lining around the eyes, the blue eyes. That looks really good. Yeah! I like the matte finish. That's really a flat finish on the exposed skin part of the chest. My complaint here is though, the neck does not match the chest part. Let me pull his head off real quick so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. If the camera is showing it, the neck skin does not match that. That's because this is painted and finished and this is just plastic.
Holy Jesus.
It's not super noticeable because the head and the hair hide it, but it is something that I picked up on. His fur, I think the color of the fur is a good choice in color. It would have been nice to have a wash or something to kind of bring it to life. It definitely could have had a better finish on it. It looks very bare plastic to me. I hate to be kind of nitpicky about that, but it does. But the sculpt and everything looks really good. He looks nice and beefy, and I like that. Let's move down into his gloves. Now the wrist part of the gloves is plastic, and so are the hands, obviously, but they've got a cool little sculpt into them. And there's no, fingernail in the gloves, so I always like that. I hate that when there's like fingernail in the gloves, you know. Move down here, his belt is painted, and it's painted cleanly enough. I guess it's basic. It's a basic little design, so it shouldn't have been too difficult for him, and obviously it wasn't. There is nice shading on the pants. That looks really, really good. Nice and kind of highlighted more than low lighted or anything. I like that a lot. But in typical Tamashii fashion, they mostly just did it on the front of the pants.
Surprise!
Let's see down here. His little boots, his Back to the Future 2 boots, they look cool enough, I guess. They need some panel lining for sure. They are very, very plastic. They remind me a lot of the Trunks Boy from the Future boots. But they've got a little bit of paint on them, and it's done pretty darn well. I can't complain. Mine has a little bit of a scuff there, and it's literally been out of the box today, so that is straight from the factory there. They're mostly just that purple kind of lavender plastic or whatever, with a little bit of that off orange kind of paint on them, but not too horrible. The tail, same as the body, definitely needs a wash. It is just bare plastic, really, and I think they could have went with a little bit better finish on it, but not horrible. But overall, the design looks really, really awesome. Let's move in and talk about how well he moves, because he does move pretty well. His hair, let's start with his hair first, because it's at the top, has 4 parts that kind of articulate. One right here on the back, and another one right here on the back. And I'm going to try and show you that it's just little ball hinges up there on each side. And the parts that come around his neck move in and out like that. And that's it. Now, because of this crazy hair sculpt, you don't get much head movement out of him. You're not going to look back much at all. Not that any of the Vegetas actually look up super awesome anyway, but in conjunction with the neck movement, because his neck moves really good, he does look down really, really well, and it doesn't pry his faceplate off or anything, so I do like that.
Thank you.
And like I said, if you can see that, the neck moves really good. Shoulders out to 90 and a little bit past with 0 issue there. Now he does have a butterfly, and it does and doesn't help all at the same time. It's just kind of a typical butterfly that we see from SH Figuarts. If you finagle it enough, you can get his hands to touch out in front of him. If you just kind of, if you got to really, really engage it. But see there, they will touch out in front of him. So I'm not going to complain too much there. He's got a butterfly, Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Bicep swivel works well enough. Double jointed elbow that both looks good and has a nice range of motion. And the wrist is a typical ball hinge from that. Now his abdomen moves pretty good. He's got a diaphragm break right here, and it's hidden pretty well. The way they've kind of did the exposed skin, the way that's etched in there hides his diaphragm break pretty good from the front, and it engages really well. Little bit of a gap in the back, but not horrible. Like I say almost every single time, we don't look at our figures from the back very much. Leans back very well. And down here in the waist, he has a ball peg down in the waist. I don't recommend twisting at the waist. Twist up here at this diaphragm break, because I'll show you, if you twist him at the waist too much, God damn, he will pop apart. Because you see how that's kind of keyed like that? When that comes too far into that, it'll just kick his upper body right off of him. But you can just pop him right back on there, no big deal. But the ball pegs, when they work together, he does have a great little crunch. I probably should move my hand so you can actually see it. And he leans back really well too. Gets good tilt and all that good stuff. Now his legs, these are different hip joints than we're used to seeing on a Vegeta, and he can actually do a side split with no problem. Little bit of little hanging cube looking things right there. I'm not going to say what they actually resemble, but he does that pretty well. They're a little loose if you, well, now it doesn't want to do it now that everybody's watching, but it can be a little bit. See how I just tap that and it just comes down. Good front kick. He has butt cheeks, so not any back kick at all, even though the other day I showed that Jada Toys knows how to make a figure with a butt that can kick back.
We have a problem.
Thigh swivel works really well. All right, let's talk about this. This part right here, just like on Trunks and just like the two Gohan figures that have this kind of thigh cut around it.
What is that?
It's useless. People have been complaining about it for a while, so there's nothing really new for me to add. It's not too detracting for me, but I know some people that it probably is a huge problem for. Moving on. Double jointed knee, works well enough. You would actually think he'd get a little bit more range out of it, but not too bad. It does get gappy, so keep that in mind. Just don't bend it quite as far if you don't want to see a gap, or just try and engage more of the bottom part, whatever you want to do. No boot swivel, but then again, Tamashii doesn't really do that. Now his ankle, these are the best ankles on a Vegeta, really, because the whole ankle is just one big ball hinge right there instead of that double ball peg crap. And it kicks down good, goes up a little bit, not much past neutral, but a little bit, and you do get an ankle rocker out of it. His toe brake, way up like that, little bit of gap if that bothers you, but if you've got it engaged and it's kind of facing you, you're not going to see it or whatever, only really if you're looking at it from the bottom. So not too grotesque. So overall, he moves pretty decently, to be quite honest, especially for a Vegeta. He can actually touch his hands out in front of him, and he can do a split. But there are, some of the things that I've pointed out aren't so super awesome either. Let's move into my final thoughts. All right, final thoughts. This figure, like I said at the beginning, is kind of a catch-22 because it looks really, really cool, and it is by far the coolest Vegeta design that we've gotten. I used to not be a big fan of Super Saiyan 4 as a look, but when I got it in figure hand, I was like, wow, this actually looks kind of cool. But these hair pieces, they feel kind of delicate. The tail feels like it could be delicate. A little bit loose legs and loose joints, in the hips, and just an overall lack of paint. Like this fur on him needs something on it. It kind of makes it look cheap just a little bit, at least where the fur is. I'm going to call this a B- figure, which is above average. A B- is a good grade, at least for me it was in school, because it comes with a decent amount of accessories. But his price point, he was $65, so we need to get a little bit more out of them than what we got, in my opinion. He is the best moving Vegeta, but then again, he's got different joints than all the other Vegetas, and he looks really cool, but he kind of fell short in a few things, like these hips aren't great, and there's some delicate spots on him. But overall, this is still a good release. I know there's some people that have been very disappointed by it. I'm not disappointed, but I'm not like blown away by it either. This is a pretty good figure. If you don't have it, pick it up. It's not bad. You could probably get it for $50, second hand. Now I've had this thing for months and months and bought it retail, but you could probably get you a good used copy of this for $55, and it's worth the money. So that's pretty much all I've got for him. If you have not subscribed yet, pause the video, scroll down and subscribe. It really helps the channel. But more importantly, give us a like. Give us a like, comment, all that good stuff. And with all that said, this has been Dad with Dad's Expensive Hobby, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.